Good morning.
Good morning.
We're all having a lovely chatty morning this morning and realize we need to get started. So good morning and welcome to Unity of Palmyra, where centered in love, we embrace a positive path for spiritual living. We are an open and affirming congregation. We love you just the way you are in all of your magnificent glory, and we're so glad that you're here this morning, and we're so glad that those of you out in Facebook land and YouTube land are also joining us this morning. So let's take a minute to just breathe. Wherever you are, if it's safe for you to close your eyes, I invite you to do that. As we signal to the world, to the universe, to our mind, that we are coming apart for a while. That we are taking these few sweet, short moments this morning to become fully present, to remember the truth of who we are, to remember the truth of who everyone is. And specifically this morning, to remember what it is that we love, to call forth that which makes our heart sing and brings us joy. And so we breathe together. Fully present, fully here, right now. And as always, we begin our time together with gratitude as we say thank you for this time. Thank you for whatever safe space you are in, and most especially, thank you for one another. And so it is. Amen. So I'm glad you're relatively evenly divided today. I'm not feeling like I'm leaning one way or the other, because we're going to open our service this morning with our love round. Some of you are familiar with this. So we think we finally figured out how to do this so that the second group doesn't miss the last two lines of the first verse when the first group moves on. Okay? I don't even want to tell you how long it took Jackie and I to figure this out and for Becky and I to practice this. So we're going to give it our best shot. We do this as a round, so everybody from here on over, you're going to sing with Becky, and y'all are going to start. And then from here on over, you're going to sing with me, and I'm going to do my best not to mess it up and come in at the right place. And then hopefully this will work. And you won't all give me the confused looks that you usually give me when we switch the slide and you haven't finished your verse yet. All right, can we try it? All right, so stand up. And Alan's going to give us a little intro, and then Becky's going to get you guys started, and then I'm going to get us guys started. Us, yuns.
Love, 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 love. The message in a word is love.
Love, 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 love. The message in a word is love. Love thy neighbor as thy brother. Love, love, love. Peace, 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 peace. The message in a word is peace. Joy, 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 joy. The message in the word is joy. Joy that fills to ever-flowing. Joy, joy, joy. Woohoo! We did it! Okay, now we just have to save those slides for time immemorial. Let's share now together in our vision. Centered in love, we embrace a positive path for spiritual living. And our mission, wherever we are, we provide a welcoming community that inspires and encourages all who gather here through the teaching, sharing, and practice of universal spiritual principles. And one of the ways we practice those principles is to honor wherever you are on your journey. So if you are open to a hug, we will bring it on in. If you prefer a handshake, we will absolutely respect that. If you want us to leave you completely alone, just stay where you are, and we get that. And I have a little bit of a cold this morning. Everything's fine. I'm not infectious, but I'm going to stay up here and not hug today. So have a great time.
I'm in the right place. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message out and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
As you all run back to your seats. Have a seat. All right, a couple of announcements. Our prayer chaplains today are Sherry Fries, she is in the sanctuary, and Debbie LaTulip, who is holding space for us from home. Sherry will be available immediately after the service over here on this side of the sanctuary if you would like some one-on-one prayer. The social activism team is going on a field trip today, right after the fellowship. We'll do a brief fellowship, and then they are heading to St. Stephen's Episcopal Church up in Harrisburg for the Decolonizing Christ exhibit, and I do believe some of you have arranged to carpool. I'm going to let you all figure that out after the service. I'm heading up. I can't wait to see it. I am really excited to see through the exhibit the recognition that Jesus was not a white evangelical Christian. Just saying. Sign-ups for Daily Word and... Was there something else? No? Okay. Sign-ups for Daily Word and Fellowship have moved downstairs. Remember that if you want food for fellowship, you do need to sign up to bring that food. The church is providing coffee and tea, and y'all are providing the food. To that end, the Membership Sunday and the annual meeting are all going to be on October 17th, so that day the church is providing the food, and actually it's your council who will be providing your lunch that day. So please do plan on staying for that. It's a very fun day. We will be accepting new members. We will be having our annual meeting, which also takes the place of our hug meeting, and there will be cake. So you want to come. If you are currently a voting member of Unity of Palmyra, you do need to renew your membership. It does not happen automatically. There are membership renewal forms up here and downstairs. A bunch of you have already filled them out. It's also in your weekly email, the PDF you can download every week, so please do fill those out. We do need an accurate list for the 17th, and we do need them back by next Sunday, because that gives Jackie and I and the council the whole week to get ready for the meeting. There are some beautiful photographs in the bookstore by Madeline Gray, a former member of this community, and she has gifted them to us, and we have them in the bookstore and are accepting love offerings for the church, and they're absolutely gorgeous. I have some cards that Madeline had made that I still use to this day that I send out for special events with her photographs on them, and they're absolutely gorgeous. And then finally, if you are whether you're participating in a small group or not, if you are following along with the study guides to this series, they go out every Sunday at noon. They are also in your Wednesday email, and we have actually been printing some hard copies in case you have a hard time printing stuff out. So there are some hard copies in the Rose Room if you are interested in doing the study guides. And I think that's it. Stephanie, would you like to read the daily word?
Faith. With the assurance of faith, I move ahead with confidence. Faith is my guiding light. It keeps me hopeful when I'm tempted to doubt and cheerful when I might otherwise feel gloomy. Faith tells me that even when the sky appears cloudy, the sun is still shining brightly above the clouds. Faith gives me a secure footing in the present as I plan for the future. Faith is the assurance that I am never alone, that everything I dream and do is divinely inspired. Every step I take in the direction of my aspirations is fueled by faith that they can come to pass. All of the wisdom, power, love, and strength of God are mine to express as only I can. Leaving timidity and hesitancy behind, I use these divine attributes boldly and with confidence. Faith shows me the way forward. From Hebrews 11, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen.
Family is here. I feel loved by the ones I hold so dear. And when my family needs me, I promise to be there. And when I need my family, I'm lifted up in prayer.
So this is the time of our service where we share challenges and joys. Many of you are aware that last week our beloved Jody tested positive for COVID. So the good news is that she did get an infusion and she is feeling better. Every day she's feeling better. And so far Janie is negative. So they did their due diligence. They reached out to everyone they'd had contact with, and we're all good. Becky's good. Everybody they fellowshiped with is good. So they did ask for us to continue to hold Jody in prayer, and Janie does seem to have the cold that we are passing back and forth to one another this week. So we just continue to hold them in that healing space and send out all of our love to them, and just see them continuing to heal and to be back here next week. And as divine order would have it, they were already scheduled to be off today. So there you go. The universe was smiling on our schedule. So let's all take a nice big deep breath. And we begin by holding our beloved Jody and Janie in prayer. We just see that incredible divine healing energy surrounding them and flowing through them, and we send them our healthy energy and see them swimming in it right now. As we used to sing in school, every little cell in my body is healthy. And we send that affirmation to them right now. And staying in that energy of healing, we include anyone in this circle who is struggling, whether it be with a cold, an ache, a pain. Wherever you are struggling right now in your physical body, we invite you to step into that stream of healing energy that we are collectively creating right now in this moment, that we are sending out through the ethers, through that golden web that connects us all. And if you are experiencing any emotional challenge, any sadness or grief, we surround you with this stream. For healing takes many forms and is on many levels. And so we hold that place together of wholeness, of recognizing that these challenges are not outside of our experience, they're not outside of our spiritual nature, but they are part of that experience. And we claim whatever they are bringing to us. At the same time, we invite anyone who is experiencing a joy or a gratitude to place that energy into this sacred circle. Let us share in it with you. 5-0, baby. We allow ourselves to find joy wherever we can. And so we say thank you. Thank you, sweet Spirit, for this opportunity to support one another in this powerful way. We recognize that every breath we take, every thought we think, every action we make is a prayer when we are centered in the energy of Spirit. And so it is. Namaste.
The God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste. The God in me beholds the God in you. Namaste. You are beautiful. You are whole. You are beautiful. You are whole. A stray bullet and a mama cries. Baby, sorry, can you? A stray bullet and a mama cries. And baby won't be coming home tonight. Silent screaming down the avenue. Just another story on the evening news. Oh, oh. Politics and prejudice. How the hell did it ever come to this? When everybody's gotta pick a side. It don't matter if you're wrong or right, no. And so it goes. But I hold on to hope and I won't let go, 'cause I believe you and me are sisters and brothers, and I believe we're made to be here for each other, and we'll never fall if we walk hand in hand. But a world that seems broken together again, yeah. I believe in the end, love wins. Sometimes it takes a lot of faith to keep believing there will come a day when the tears and the sadness, the pain and the hate, the struggle, this madness will all fade away. I believe you and me are sisters and brothers, and I believe we're made to be here for each other, and we'll never fall if we walk hand in hand. But a world that seems broken together again, yeah. I believe in the end, love wins. Love is power, love is a smile, love reaches out, love is the remedy, love is the answer, love's an open door, love is the only thing worth fighting for. I believe you and me are sisters and brothers, and I believe we're made to be here for each other, and we'll never fall if we walk hand in hand. But a world that seems broken together again, yeah. I believe in the end, love wins. Oh yeah, love wins. Love will, love can, love still, love wins. Love will, love can, love still, love wins.
Well, that was awesome. And it's our theme for the next 2 weeks. This is week 3 of our fall series based on How Then Shall We Live by Wayne Muller. And so the last 2 weeks we looked at the question, who am I? That little existential question. This week and next week, we're going to look at the second question that he poses, which is, what do I love? He says, when we do what we love again and again, our life comes to hold the fragrance of that thing. When we hold something in our hands day after day, our hands conform to the shape of what we have held. We become what we have cared for. Our lives are shaped by what we love. All we are, said the Buddha, is a result of what we have thought. He might also have added, all we are is a result of what we have loved. Or as Jesus so succinctly observed, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So what does that mean? It's actually one of the questions on this week's study guide. And I'm going to encourage you to find your own answer to that, but I'll give you mine this morning, because I'm the one up here in the pulpit. So what it means to me is that what we love, what we give our attention to, is what defines us. And this is Unity's actually probably all 5 of the principles, but specifically the third one, that what we focus on, what we pay attention to, determines how we show up in the world. It determines our character. It determines how we are shaped. What we love defines us. This is how Muller says it. He says, in our daily lives, whatever we love becomes our center of gravity. When we love something, we feel the truth of it. We touch its deeper nature. What we choose to love is very important, for what we love leads our eyes, ears, and hearts on a pilgrimage that shapes the very texture of our lives. So what we love, what we decide is important to us, that's another way of saying that. What we decide is worthy of our attention, it determines what we give our energy to, what we spend our time and our resources on. We could say it's what we devote our time, talent, and treasure to. It's also what we see, what we notice as we go through our day. It determines what we focus on. He tells a couple of wonderful stories in this section of the book about how an artist goes through their day seeing texture and color. A teacher goes through their day finding teachable moments. A singer goes through their day with songs running through their head. Right? What we love determines what we notice. It determines what we focus on. So it's a really important question, because what we want to be very clear that we are spending most of our energy, most of our resources, most of that time, talent, and treasure on the things that we actually love. You know, when I work with a new coaching client, one of the first things we do is we go over an exercise called the Life's Intentions Inventory, and this is all about determining what's most important to us. And we get very clear that they're allowed to pick several, what we call 5s. Those are the most important thing to you. Absolutely, this is the most important thing in your life. And I limit how many they get to pick, because we can only focus on so much. Right? Our brains can only focus on so much. And then we do this wonderful telling the truth about, okay, now look at your life. And how much of your life are you spending on those 5s? And how much of your life are you spending on your 1s and 2s? Those things that you've really decided in this moment are not that important to you. So the question is important. So think about a typical day in your life. Are you spending most of that day on what you love? And in order to answer that question, you have to be clear about what you love. Because the answer to that question determines the quality of your life. And it also builds on that first question of who am I? Because once we've decided who we are, we can then start to get clear about what it is that we love, what we really love, not what we think we should love, what makes our heart sing, what calls us to growth, what calls us to make that contribution. Because when we get clear about that, we can't help but inspire others. So I forgot to tell Becky this. The last time that Cassie was here, our little 6-year-old granddaughter, she just loves Becky. I think it might have been at the picnic. We had her at the picnic. And she knows that Becky is the singer, right? Becky loves it. She'll tell me, Fifi, Becky loves to sing. And so after the picnic that day on the way home, Cassie said, Fifi, you know what I want to be when I grow up? And I said, what? She said, I want to be a singer like Becky. And I said, really? She said, yeah, because what she was saying in her 6-year-old way was, I want to be like Becky because Becky loves what she does. Do you hear that? It's inspiring when we find what we love. It's attractive when we find what we love. So I recently read a story on a friend's page, and it intrigued me. So, of course, I had to Google it, right? Because as Abraham Lincoln says, you can't believe everything you read on the internet. So it turns out this story was actually true. And I was thrilled because as soon as I read it, everything's a sermon, okay? Because what do I love? I love this, and so I'm constantly seeing, oh, I could use this in a sermon. And so I was praying that it was true because I wanted to share it with you. So here it is. Dr. Frank Mayfield was touring Tewksbury Institute when, on his way out, he accidentally collided with an elderly floor maid. To cover the awkward moment, Dr. Mayfield started asking questions. How long have you worked here? The maid replied, I worked here almost since the place opened. Well, what can you tell me about the history of this place, he asked. She said, I don't think I can tell you anything, but I could show you something. With that, she took his hand and led him down to the basement under the oldest section of the building. She pointed to one of what looked like small prison cells. Their iron bars rusted with age, and said, that's the cage where they used to keep Annie Sullivan. Who's Annie? The doctor asked. Annie was a young girl who was brought in here because she was incorrigible. Nobody could do anything with her. She'd bite and scream, and she'd throw food at people. The doctors and nurses couldn't even examine her. I'd see them trying with her, spitting and scratching at them. The maid said, I was only a few years younger than her myself, and I used to think, I sure would hate to be locked up like that. I wanted to help her, but I didn't have any idea what I could do. I mean, if the doctors and nurses couldn't help her, what could someone like me do? I didn't know what else to do, so I just baked her some brownies one night after work. The next day, I brought them in. I walked carefully to her cage and said, Annie, I baked these brownies just for you. I'll put them right here on the floor, and you can come and get them if you want. Then I got out of there just as fast as I could because I was afraid she might throw them at me. But she didn't. She took them and she ate them. After that, she was just a little bit nicer to me when I was around, and sometimes I talked to her. Once, I even got her laughing. One of the nurses noticed this, and she told the doctor. So they asked me if I'd help them with Annie. I said I would if I could. That's how it came about that every time they wanted to see Annie or examine her, I went into the cage first and explained and calmed her down and held her hand. This is how they discovered that Annie was almost blind. After they'd been working with her for about a year, and I like this term, and it was tough sledding with Annie, the Perkins Institute for the Blind opened its doors. They were able to help her, and she went on to study, and she became a teacher herself. Annie came back to the Tewksbury Institute to visit and to see what she could do to help out. At first, the director didn't say anything, and then he thought about a letter he'd just received. A man had written to him about his daughter. She was absolutely unruly, almost like an animal. She was blind and deaf as well as deranged. He was at his wit's end, but he didn't want to put her into an asylum. So he wrote to the Institute to ask if they knew of anyone who would come to his house and work with his daughter. And that is how Annie Sullivan became the lifelong companion of Helen Keller. When Helen Keller received the Nobel Prize, she was asked who had the greatest impact on her life, and of course she said, Annie Sullivan. But Annie said, no, Helen. The woman who had the greatest influence on both of our lives was a floor maid at the Tewksbury Institute. So I dug a little deeper. I Googled this story. I found out that the story was true. This was a little embellished to make it more, readable. But it's actually true with a few changes. According to the Helen Keller Society, which is a page where I found the actual background, the maid made a cake, not brownies, but I think we can forgive that, right? And it was Annie who actually asked to go to the Perkins School for the Blind. She realized, once she had been helped, that the only way out of her situation was to get an education. And so she asked them if she could go there. And the interesting thing about her experience there was, because when you just read the summaries, it was like, oh, she went to Perkins and everything was fine. But it really wasn't. Because when she got to Perkins, she experienced a whole range of acceptance and support. There were some people there that judged her because of her background, because of the years that she had spent in Tewksbury, which, by the way, was a really unpleasant place, very unpleasant. She was way behind in her schooling. She didn't know how to be in school. She didn't know how to study. She didn't know the fundamentals that people, other students half her age knew, and so it was embarrassing for her. And she said that some of the teachers were very judgmental of that and were not terribly supportive. Other teachers were very understanding and very compassionate. And so she said what she realized was, because she had a pretty strong will, if you read anything about Annie Sullivan and Helen Keller, if you read any of the biographies, they were both incredibly strong-willed women, which is how they survived. So what Annie realized was, the people that are mean to me, I push back against. Even if they're trying to help me, I fight them, right? But the people who may be firm, but are firm in a compassionate and understanding way, I allow that help in. So that experience informed her, and it defined her. And she decided that what she really loved, what her passion became, was helping other people who had similar challenges to herself. They were able to treat her partial blindness, but she struggled with her vision her entire life. So she wanted to help other people. So when she was called to help Helen Keller, she realized, I can be, really hard and, attack this like she's a problem that I have to fix, or I can treat her with the same compassion, understanding, and firmness that I responded positively to when I was at Perkins. Muller says, what if we spend all of our time preparing the soil? What will we have? Only a clear, empty patch of ground. What shall we plant in this garden? What harvest, when it comes, will bring us joy? This is the difference between a life repaired and a life well lived. All we are, said the Buddha, is a result of what we have thought. If we focus the lion's share of our energy on ferreting out what we believe is wrong within us, we gradually grow into people who are really good at seeing what's wrong. Instead of creating a life of beauty and meaning, we may simply become better and better at seeing only what is broken. We must do the work of healing, but if we choose to make it the work of our life, we may find that it keeps us small. We must at least be conscious that we are making a choice, and we should know that we are choosing this. So Annie Sullivan could have spent her entire life clearing the field from her terrible, horrible, awful, traumatic, abusive childhood and never gone any further. But she made a different choice. She chose to do the work of healing, and then she chose to learn and grow and plant seeds that allowed her to make a difference based on her experience. So just, if you're reading the book, I don't have to say this, but if you're not, I just want to be clear, Muller's all about healing. Powerful therapist, powerful minister. The point he's making here is if it becomes the focus of our life, when we spend our entire life creating that beautiful, weed-free, fertilized field, then to what end are we creating that field? If at some point we're not going to plant what we love and make that contribution just like Annie Sullivan did. She was able to create an incredible life of beauty and meaning. And in doing that, she helped Helen Keller create her incredible life of beauty and meaning. Helen Keller became quite an activist in her later years. We tend to think of her as, in the miracle worker, right, as this child who blossomed. She became quite the activist in her later years, and she actually alienated some people because she took a stand for things, right, with Annie's support and help. So remember the story of the Buddha and the rafts? I'm going to keep coming back to that because it's such a powerful metaphor. The Buddha saying, why are you carrying that raft around? Put it down, right? Annie could have kept carrying that raft. She could have easily and justifiably, seriously, Tewksbury, a cage, really? She could have carried that raft around for the rest of her life, but she didn't. As Stephen Mitchell's translation says of this story, she used the raft appropriately to carry herself across the river, learned its lessons, accepted its gifts, and then put it down. So I think it was very wonderful that Annie credited the maid at Tewksbury. It was incredibly gracious of her. But I also want us to recognize that Annie could have refused that piece of cake. She could have refused that woman's action of kindness and compassion and stayed in her cage, literally and figuratively. She could have kept carrying that raft, but she didn't. And Helen could have refused Annie's help, but both of them made a different choice. They accepted that seed that was being planted, and they both became exquisitely clear about who they were and what they loved and the gifts that they had to offer. But that's week 7. So what do you love? Really, truly, deeply love? What makes your heart sing? And are you doing it? And if you're not, are you willing to put down whatever raft might be weighing you down? Thank it for getting you this far and then letting it go. Are we willing to let love win? And are we willing to make love our decision? Let's take that into meditation. Okay. Or as Cassie yells, "I'm okay."
It's bound to happen at some point.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to side to side to change my mind. God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive. And one side to side to change my mind. God will show me how. Love is my decision. My decision, right here and now. Yep. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down the road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. And one side to side to change my mind. God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now.
So I invite you to breathe. Breathe deeply and with intention, feeling the breath move through you. Feeling it enter into every cell, every muscle, every bone, as it flows through your body, feeding and nurturing you in body, mind, and spirit. The breath reminds us of the unconditional nature of love. The breath does not decide if we are worthy or not. The breath does not decide if we have earned it or not. The breath simply breathes through us, in and out, in that continual universal flow of giving and receiving. And so it is when we discover that which we love. We cannot help but give it. We cannot help but receive through it. for what we truly, deeply love defines us. It directs us. It calls for our attention. Look at me, the story says. Look at me, the color cries. Listen to me, the song sings. What calls to you? What do you love? Not what you think you should love or what you've been told to love, or even what you used to love. Right now, in this moment, what do you love? And are you willing to demonstrate that love? To focus on that love, to give it your time, your talent, your treasure, your attention. To plant that seed and give it whatever it needs to grow. What do you love?
Once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now.
Thank you. Stretch. We all need to stretch. So this is the time of our service where we express such incredible gratitude for your ongoing generosity, for your giving of your time, talent, and treasure in all of its many forms, for all of you who volunteer here, for all of you who bring food. Thank you, Holly, today. And all of you who donate your treasure to keep our doors open, to keep our work going, to support this amazing community. We say thank you.
I was feeling kinda down and like nobody really cared. So I crawled under the covers where I could say my prayers. I said, God, if you love me, why don't you show a sign? I fell asleep soon after and this dream came to my mind. I found myself in the great beyond, in a great big house, and the house was God's. He took me by the hand and led me to his kitchen. And taped up to this giant fridge were pictures of me as a kid. And every drawing that I ever did was with her. There's no high, no feeling greater than seeing yourself on God's refrigerator. I had no idea that God saw me as his child, or that he was thinking of me so dearly all the while. But there I was up on that door for all the world to see. I was precious to him and he thought the world of me. There I was in the great beyond, in a great big house, and the house was God's. And he took me by the hand and led me to his kitchen. And taped up to this giant fridge were pictures of me as a kid. And every drawing that I ever did was with him. There's no high, no feeling greater than seeing yourself on God's refrigerator. I found myself in the great beyond, in a great big house, and the house was God's. And he took me by the hand and led me to his kitchen. And taped up to this giant fridge were pictures of me as a kid. And every drawing that I ever did was with him. There's no high, no feeling greater, no, than seeing yourself on God's refrigerator. And just in case you ever feel forgotten and blue, I saw pictures of you up there too.
Thank you. That is one of my very favorite Karen Taylor Good songs. And I thought it was so perfect for today, because what do you put on your refrigerator? Pictures of people and things that you love, right? So how cool is it that you saw our pictures on God's refrigerator door? All right, let's stand and share in our unity blessing. Together, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in each and every one of you. And it is Birthday Sunday. It's the first Sunday of October. So if you have an October birthday, will you wave your hand? I know, I saw her there. Wave your hand. Good job. So let's sing happy, happy birthday. You ready, Beck? Happy.
There we go, okay.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Nyla, Lee, Steve, Jerry, Dan, Dave, Debbie, Marie, Jeff, and Tracy. Happy birthday to you. If you want your name on the birthday slide, you have to let us know what your birthday is, and we'll be happy to add you to the list. So now, let's share in the peace song. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, united all are we. God surrounds us. The
love of God enfolds us.
The
The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And wherever God is, all is well.
Amen. Go forth, have a wonderful week, and get really clear about what you love. Have a great time. Bye-bye, Facebook and YouTube land. We love you.